Alright, so welcome to the next video. Here, as you can see, I have a plane. I have converted this into an editable poly, and I have our high poly model here as well, which you can see right here. So this high poly model that I have, you can download it from the description, and here you can see that I have made a plane, which is like this, so you can just drag and drop and create this, and download this model for practicing. Just before we start, just one tip. So as you can see, our plane, it's like completely flat. It's just a flat surface. So when we will bake our normal on here, from a front angle, it will look okay. But let's say you actually want to like see details from the side angle. Like as you can see here, I am looking at our model from this side. If you actually want to like give it some geometry and some depth like this, you will actually need to deform and edit your mesh to like have this basic silhouette of the shape. You don't have to be pretty much accurate, but you will like need to like give it some surface like this. But if it will be completely flat and you will look it from this angle, it won't actually show you depth like this high poly model. So without further ado, we will get started. First things first, I'm gonna hide my high poly model here. First things, I'm gonna add a UV mapping clear modifier. What this does is it clears any type of UVW map that the primitive. So what it does is it clears out the any of the UV coordinates that your 3D model has. Next, we want to add a unwrap UVW. You guys can add a basic one too, but here I'm just going to open our UV editor, which is right here. You can see it already has the planar one, but let's say if you have a more complex mesh like a box or so, you can do the UV mapping thing, but I'm just going to come down here and show you how you can do that. You can see we have projection, box, and all the other. I'm just going to choose, hold on a second, we haven't actually selected any. So I'm going to choose these, and then I'm going to go here and I will just select the whole thing. Right here you can do it like this too. And let's say that if you have a box surface or anything, again, this is not a UVW unwrapping video, so I'm just going to choose this and show you how to do that. You see, like there are different angles, the X and the Y and the Z. We're just going to keep it on the Y. Just like that, we have given it the coordinates, or you can just add just a UV map modifier as well. Once this is done, now this has UV, so I'm going to convert this into an editable poly. Next thing, this was just to show you like it must have a UV map, some coordinates where it can apply those things. Next thing we need is to create the projection cage. So I'm going to apply the projection modifier, and here you can see that well, basically let me turn on the, hold on a second, the edged faces. Again, you can leave this as a single big polygon too and split it into two triangles, but I just like to like do it this way. So what I'm gonna do is like, hold on a second, I'm just gonna turn off edge faces because the topology is showing here anyway. You can remove these or keep these. You can deform the mesh too, but I'm not gonna do that. So now, since this is a plane surface, you need to come down here and just come here to cage, and we need to actually pick something. So hit pick list, or you can just click pick and pick this from the viewport. Here you can see we have our high poly model, which I have like toggled off. I'm going to hit add. What it has done is it has added it. We're on the third step, the projection cage one. Right here, here it is. And I will actually make this visible in the viewport by clicking the little bulb, or you can right click in the viewport and click make unhide all, or unhide hidden or something like that. Anyways, hold on a second, my bad. Uh, yeah, so I basically need to go down. Hold on a second, please. Yeah, so I have over cage, hit shaded. The advantage of shaded, it actually shows you like a shade, like a translucent shade, which will allow us. And we also need point to point. Why am I choosing point to point? Because this is a plane surface. So if I turn off point to point, first thing I'm going to hit reset. We don't really need to because it's already 0, but sometimes your projection cage is like that. I will actually push this a bit. And yeah, you can see it's being pushed slowly. And now another thing, as you can see, there's this space in here. So, and it's a plane surface. So to cover that, we use point-to-point projections. So it like kind of welds those points automatically for the projection cage. Another thing, sometimes when working with your models, like you can see this over here, the back side of this model, Like you see, it's the high poly model. It's like clipping outside of this low poly model. And here too, like I did this, like we can increase the value, but sometimes, as you can see right here, the high poly model is clipping outside of the projection cage, and inside this translucent wrapper, only the some part of it's inside. So let's say I just leave the projection here and bake it. Anything that is outside of this projection cage, such as this front portion or these back sides, these back small points, which are like inverted inside, they actually won't bake. So for that reason, we actually need to make some adjustments. Sometimes, let's say that if you have actually used this percentage or amount thing, but there are some details that you can do. So you can actually edit your projection cage, same as an editable poly. As you can see, it has this cage's points. That way you can click on any of these points. Hold on a second. I'm going to click here and you can like modify them manually. Like see that? Like you can deform the cage. I'm going to do Control Z. You can like also choose these and move these around, and you can also like choose the full cage as an element to like select it up and all. You guys get the idea. You're smart. So you guys can do it like that for like editing it so that the cage like the cage should cover your full model. Just know that. I'm gonna go back. Wait a second. Where are the values? Yeah. So I'm just gonna push the cage out a bit. Hold on a second. I've done it too much, but I'm just gonna keep it a little bit lower. Okay, yeah, that's touching the surface. You can see like it's touching it. I'm just gonna move it a little bit more. So I'm just going to take this a little bit to the side. I will push this forward, okay? So I'm going to choose my low poly model. And don't worry, the projection modifier is still there. I'm just going to push it a little bit forward. So like, yeah, it's like in front of this, uh, like this. Okay, it's not clipping through the back anymore. Anyways, it's going to just like project this detail on top of there. So I'm just going to go back to my plane, click here. You see our projection cage is still there. And here you can see you could see that, yep, the whole thing is inside here, inside of this. All of it is inside it, the surface too, and all of it. Okay, so now we have given this the projection modifier. I will leave it here. Next thing, we have aligned it and the projection modifier is there. Choose your low poly model and hit 0 on your keyboard. It will open up this render to texture dialog. And here it is, it's open, our render to texture dialog. What I'm gonna do next is go down and hold on a second. Okay, yeah, this might not show up in your screen right now, but if you click rendering here, you see render to texture, it's on. You can turn it on up from here as well. Okay, so we have given it some UV maps and everything. So first things first, you can see I chose this model. It's showing here in the list. This is enabled, object settings, and set the padding to 3. What it does is setting the padding to 3 means that it is kind of like better. Next, you guys can look this option up in detail because I was taught that padding to 3 is like good for stuff like this. So I always just stick with 3. You can lower it as well and check it out. Next thing, we need to enable projection. Once we enable it, and you see there's a pick option and everything else too, but we already gave it the projection modifier, so like the one we just created, so we don't have to like do these settings again. So I'm just gonna go down. You can pick the case too, but we already made it. Next thing, this is important. Since our low poly model has the UVs, we only need to give the low poly model UVs. The high poly does not need it. So we will pick this because when we choose existing channels, so let's say if you have multiple UVs too, you can project on there as well, but we have only one. We have our low poly selected, as you can see from the blue, the highlight. I'm gonna go down, I choose this. Now in the newer versions of 3ds Max, this process is a lot simpler. It's just a few clicks, but I know the video is a bit long. I'm gonna click here and add the element. We will choose the textures we need. For example, I'm gonna choose the diffuse just to show you that we can create it. And we will also choose a normal map. So as you can see, the purple color is this diffuse. It will turn into a diffuse map automatically. You can choose an element background as well. So I'm gonna just choose a grayish color just to show you for now. And if I come down here, You can see the sizes. I'm just going to set this to 2K. You can bake on 124 by what? Sorry, 1024 by 1024, not 124. You can also like select elements you need settings to bake it also in the map, like the lighting and the shadows. You can do that as well for like emissive or something. And you can output it into source and something else too. Now we have done the settings for this one. Another thing you need to do is click right here, these three dots, and save it on your hard drive. So this is the default folder where 3ds Max saves things. You can go there, pick your format. I'm just going to choose a PNG, and here I'm just going to name this, hold on a second, I'm going to name this uh, practice, like this, and I'm going to hit OK, just like that. Okay, now let's bake the normal map. When I come here, you can see it also shows you the target map slot. I'm going to go here and change this to a PNG as well. This way you could bake any type of map you want. Like you can also put a light map and make the specular and other things. There are some tutorials for those too. But here, as you can see, I have this. So I'm just going to rename this as, what was the name of that map? Yeah, it was practice. I'm going to call this practice norm. Norm is like short for normal map, but I'm just going to name it normal. I'm going to hit OK. Just like that. Okay. All right. Now, before baking, you will come down here. You can see you can have different sizes for each map too. Here you can see it's 256 by 256. If I go back here, you can see it's 2048 by 2048 here. And the target map slots are also chosen. So make sure to like have the correct sizes. Now, you can keep the diffuse low like 1024 or so, but it's 2024. Nobody cares about optimization anymore. Uh, and yeah, so anyways, here it is 2048 by 2048. And you can also change the background color, but I'm just going to leave it at this, the default. Uh, you can also just tick this, but it doesn't really matter because we have not attached any shader to it. Just come down here and click render. Now it's going to flatten the UVs and give it time. It's going to bake right in front of us. So yeah, there's the diffuse. That is being baked here. Well, not the purple, sorry, I forgot that it has the color. It will project and bake this into a color map, which you can see here. Okay, it's going to bake the first map, and now it's going to bake the normal map as well. Okay, both are done. So yeah, here. Oh yeah, my bad, my mistake. I made a mistake. Sorry. Yeah, I kind of messed up here. So yeah, this is the error. Wait, yeah, I messed up. My bad. I didn't notice this here. Yeah, you see that the projection cage, this is the same mistake I told you earlier about. You can see this area is outside of the projection cage, so this did not bake here, but do not worry about it. Uh, I can actually fix this mistake. You can just rebake them. For example, you see this? If I increase this, because once you have baked something, that detail is baked there and it's permanent. What we can do is overwrite those textures. If I hit render again, it's going to flatten the UVs. Yeah, we can hit overwrite files and overwrite files. Yeah, it's going to overwrite both the textures. This is the error I was telling you. See that? It's rebaking it. And look closely here. See that? This time it projected those details. Now remember, anything outside the projection cage, it will not bake. Remember that this is a very, very important rule. Anything outside of the projection cage, it won't bake. It won't bake at all. Okay. Now this is done. We have the textures. I will close this menu and okay. We have our plane here and I'm gonna right click it. Sorry, my bad. Right click and oh sorry, I need to do it in the viewport, so I'll right click, convert to an editable poly, and I can delete my high poly model for now. I'll just hide it for now, then I could delete it later. So yeah, this is here. I'm gonna click and move this on the side, and oh, it's hidden. It won't really render in the viewport. Okay, so this is here, and yeah, it's giving us this weirdy shady shade. But anyways, we will create a new material and assign this right here. I'm going to drag and drop this right here. I will come in the map and let's head inside diffuse. The video is done. You can see it. I will show you to you from my hard drive as well. Wait a second, please. I'm just going to head inside of documents and inside here, go to 3ds Max And here, what I'm gonna find is, wait a second, please. I wait a second. Where is the default? Okay, scene assets, images. What did we named it? Something for P. Wait a second. Was it plain? Practice, yeah. So there's the diffuse, and here it is. Now this is the normal map I baked last time, and here is that same one that I baked this time. So yeah, it's a bit different. So yeah, this is it. Anyways, what we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna take this and throw this into the diffuse. We can do that. But I'm gonna come here to bitmap. I can actually drag and drop them directly too. I'm gonna choose this practice map. There it is. You won't be able to see much from here, but if I go back and go to bump, but remember to apply a normal map, you must add a normal bump first because it kind of bakes it into the DirectX one. So yeah, it will like look inverted. So make sure to add a normal bump node, and inside the normal node, you need to then add the normal map here. Where is it? Right here. So once you add this here, you can see that it's correct now. I'm just gonna come down here to default and let's choose realistic. Hold on a second and then click it. It's gonna preview it. Wait a second, it's just gonna load this. I don't know why it's showing the checkered pattern now, but it usually, oh, okay, it loaded. Yeah, here it is. And yeah, you can see this is the thing I was telling you about, but don't worry because the bump itself, just set it to 100. 100 means like a full one value. There it is. And you can see, yeah, the diffuse is like fully showing. Now, this is the thing I was telling you about. If you look at it from the front angle, like this, I will also make our high poly visible right there. So yeah, there's our high poly, there's our low poly. You can see there's literally no difference, and don't ignore this red empty area. It will keep showing. If I render it, hold on a second. Yeah, so it kind of baked because I set the background color to red. But yeah, you can like equally align it and make it transparent or so. You can edit it in Photoshop and anything else. You can even add an alpha channel, but like, yeah, you can do it accurately. Yeah, now if you see here, they both look equal, but this is the thing I've warned you about, well, actually told you about. If you look it from this angle, you can see it's showing you the direction and the calculated vectors perfectly. It's adding fake depth in here too. But since due to the lack of geometry, since we need some geometry, what you can do is you can further edit your plane, like add more polygons, push some out, and like, or you could have like created a base silhouette. So remember, when making your low poly model, if you need some depth like this, you must give it some geometry that it can bake on. That is the tip I was telling you because like, let's say this is in a game but some older games, like the PlayStation 3 era ones and others, when they actually bake rocks on walls and other high poly stuff, they also like do it like this way. They just leave it like that, like the player sees it and it goes on. But let's say like it's something is necessary, like a box or a tool or a weapon or anything, you must give it some geometry. Like you can add some polygons, like uh, you can actually use this diffuse we created. You can leave this diffuse and then you can like add some geometry and do it. So anyways, this was pretty much the tutorial. Simple 5 steps. I know the video is a bit long, but like this is like I really try to make it detailed because this confused me as well. Another thing, if you want to super sample your maps, you can go inside your render settings, come to make sure it's on scanline renderer. Come down here. Oh yeah, another thing, if it's not the scanline renderer, it won't bake. You can enable this super sampler and set this to max 2.5 stars. This is for super sampling maps only. I usually don't use super sampling. If you want to check more about super sampling maps, you can go and check it on the internet. This was my tutorial. Let me know if you want more tutorials like this.